Right, so me again. Back to me talking to a camera again, for hopefully just 4 weeks. For today, we would have been doing our Remembrance Day Murph, so I get to see you all suffer, so I'll just have to imagine this time around. Loads of options on here, right? Obviously, for most of you, you're not going to be able to do pull-ups, so I've got something else that you could do as a scale. One thing I haven't written up or that I'm not going to show is if you've got like a set of rings or a TRX, you could do sort of like a ring row, we normally call them, so you lean back and pull yourself up, so you could use that as a scaling option, obviously if you can't do pull-ups. Alright, if you haven't got that, but you've got a dumbbell or a kettlebell, what you can do is a clean, right, of that instead of the pull-ups. Alright, so if you've got a dumbbell between your legs, keep your back straight and you're going to pull to there, yeah. It's just one end of the dumbbell to the floor, right, so you can see it, right, you don't need both heads. So just one end of the dumbbell to the floor, and then you come up to there, alright? Same thing with the kettlebell, between your legs, from here, up to the rack, right, and then back down, up to the rack, alright? Swap your hands as much as you want, obviously just make sure you do both, the same on both sides. Right, in terms of the actual workout, the RX version of Murph is wearing a weighted vest. The guys will be 9 kilos, the girls 6. And you have to run through the list as it's written, right? So what that means is you run a mile, you then do 100 pull-ups straight, right? You can't chop and change. It's 100 pull-ups straight, 200 press-ups, 300 squats, run a mile, finish, roll around on the floor. That is the RX version, right? So obviously you could do a slight scale of that, which would be to not do the vest, all right? But that's essentially proper, that's Murph as it should be done, all right? I've written a couple of scales on here, but again, you could come up with your own if you want. So scale 1 I've written as run the mile, then do 5 rounds of 20, 40, 60, and then run a mile again at the end, right? Another option would be this second one, and that is just 20 rounds of run, I say just, so 20 rounds of run 160 meters, then basically a round of Cindy. So 5 pull-ups, 10 press-ups, 15 squats, and you would repeat that with the run for 20 rounds. So it's a bit more partitioned, less standing around. That'd probably be one of the quickest ways to get through it, all right? Other options you could do, so if you're lucky enough to, I don't know, live with someone else that you can do this with, then you could share it with them, all right? So what that means is you would both do the run, but then when you're back in, just go back and forward between the two of you. So one works, one rests. So maybe I did like 5 pull-ups and then Holly did 5 pull-ups and I would do 5 pull-ups, and you just repeat until as a pair you've done 100. And then same with the press-ups and the squats. So you'd share this bit, and then, but you would both do the mile. Maybe one of you could do the mile at the start and one at the end, or you just don't both do the run. Other ways you could do maybe a different split, right? So you could maybe, there's probably a 10 round option you could do. Whatever you want, you don't have to do these scales, you can do your own scale. And another scale would be to half the reps, all right? So you maybe run 800 meters, so half a mile, 50 reps, so on and so forth. Yes, you're doing half, and then finish with a half mile then at the end, all right? Maybe you just write that as half Murph in the comments. All right, in terms of warming up for this, just a couple of things. So 2 rounds of skipping or star jumps. So the star jumps will just be these, yeah. So if you haven't got a skipping rope or you can't be asked to get it out, just spend a bit of time doing that. Plank to pillar is the one where you're going from your elbows to your hands, yeah. And make sure you do both sides, yeah. And then the goblet Cossack squat. If the implement you've got is really heavy, then you could just hold on to something or do without weight. Cossack squat. So with this means you get nice and low, yeah. That heel stays on the floor. So this heel stays on the floor, that leg up, yeah. You just go from side to side, ideally holding the weight. All right? And that's it. Cool.